back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. Vice President J.D. Vance, along with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, are headed to Pakistan for ceasefire negotiations with Iran. Just before boarding Air Force Two earlier this morning, the Vice President had this to say about the upcoming meetings.
As the President of the United States said, if the Iranians are willing to negotiate in good faith, we're certainly willing to extend the open hand. If they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find that the negotiating team is not that receptive. So we're going to try to have a positive negotiation. The President has gave us some pretty clear guidelines, and we're going to see.
The Trump administration says Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon and enriched uranium. That is an absolute red line. Plus, the Gulf of Hormuz must be reopened. There's also movement this morning, though, when it comes to a potential ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Iran argues that Lebanon was part of the initial ceasefire agreement, while the U.S. and Israel say that's just not the case. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirms that Israel and Lebanon are expected to begin negotiations in Washington next week. However, Netanyahu says there is no ceasefire in Lebanon at the moment, and his country will continue strikes on Hezbollah. Back at the White House, First Lady Melania Trump causing quite the stir after her pronouncement that she did not have a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is not one of his victims. During a brief statement from the White House Thursday, the First Lady pushing back against online speculation that Epstein introduced she and President Trump. She also used the opportunity to urge Congress to hold public hearings for Epstein victims to tell their stories.
Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth.
And in other headlines, it is splashdown day for the Artemis II crew. They're set to return to Earth just after 8 Eastern time tonight off the coast of San Diego. The 4 astronauts are heading back following a 10-day trip around the moon. The Artemis II mission, by the way, completed a lunar flyby, traveling farther from Earth than any humans since the Apollo era. This trip sets the stage for a return of astronauts to the moon's surface as soon as 2028. Artemis II is returning with never-before seen pictures of the moon. Meteorologist Patrick Crawford from our friends over at Weather Nation has tonight's splashdown forecast.
Today is the day we get splashdown with Artemis II, and that's going to be happening close to the Southern California coastline. Of course, the weather is a huge factor when it comes to these ships and these re-entries into the atmosphere. Of course, when it comes to splashdown and they have to get out there and get the astronauts, the weather could be a big factor. We look at the moisture, we look at the winds, we also look at the waves. So we're keeping an eye on all of those conditions for splashdown today. Focusing on that forecast, there are the sky conditions, just some cloud cover. There's not going to be much as far as any precipitation that's going to be impacting that splashdown. And wave heights, it looks like the weather's going to cooperate. You can see some big waves happening out in the Pacific waters, but they're not going to be in that location of where we're expecting splashdown, and also those winds. Not too bad. A little breezy, especially later on tonight, but should be good enough for a safe splashdown with those weather conditions.
Go ahead and download the Weather Nation app, by the way, because you can watch a live stream of tonight's splashdown on Weather Nation. The U.S. Postal Service is dealing with some major budget issues. As a result, the USPS just informed federal budget officials that it will temporarily suspend its employer contributions to the Federal Employees Retirement System annuities. The move is being made so the service can keep making payroll and delivering your mail. The Postal Board of Governors also warns that the current rate of spending, the agency could actually run out of cash by around February of next year. Despite the suspension, current and future retirees, however, will not feel the immediate impact. That's the word coming from the Postal Service. In order to make up for the shortfall, though, the cost of a stamp could soon go up 4 cents from 79 to 82 cents. Just something to keep in mind the next time you go to the post office. That's a quick check of your headlines.
At Real America's Voice, we love Pastor Jensen Franklin, a faithful servant of the Lord who brings our audience life-changing sermons every Sunday.
God is after a conversation with you.
And now, Jensen has a new book that will impact you too. What if your most effective prayers were not your longest ones? So many believers feel pressure to say more, thinking longer or more eloquent prayers will move the hand of God. But Scripture says otherwise. Throughout the Bible, brief, heartfelt prayers brought breakthrough and divine intervention.
And if I can inspire you to pray, I can inspire you to be like Jesus.
You will discover how even a simple cry, like, "Lord, save me," can open heaven's windows.
I really believe it's going to change your life.
Filled with biblical examples and practical encouragement, this book will help you pray with confidence in every circumstance.
You are missing so much more God has for your life.
Get ready to experience the miracles that come when you pray short, bold prayers filled with power. Scan the QR code now and order your copy today on.
And here, we rise with it. This is where hard work meets headlines, where truth matters, and America wakes up informed.
An interesting week.
They all are. This is your country. This is your morning. This is Daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. America, let's do it together.
Love you, Ivy.
Love you too.
And it starts right now.
All right, good morning as we go to another big day here on the program. Glad to have you along as we kick it off. Man, there is so much to cover today, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom and defending America first. A little twist on the program today. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, let's get rolling. Xi met with the opposition leader in Taiwan and said once again that reunification is inevitable, meaning at some point the communists will declare war on the island nation. Number two, just for fun, Kamala Harris says with a straight face that she might just run for president again. And I say, yes, please, Kamala, do it. And number three, J.D. Vance, an American delegate with hopes of finding a path toward peace with Iran and ending that nation's ambition of getting nuclear weapons. But after 21 hours of intense negotiations, sadly, it came to an unproductive end. Here's J.D. Vance.
Well, good morning, everybody. And let me say a couple of notes of appreciation. First of all, to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and to Field Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts. And whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Yeah, and a lot of things have happened since then. We're learning that the U.S. is using high-tech mine-sweeping drones to begin opening the Strait of Hormuz, but the president also said we're going to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed to all traffic for a moment. We'll keep our eyes on it. Meanwhile, the big story of the weekend to me, California Congressman Eric Swalwell denying a tidal wave of very disturbing accusations that have been made against him. It might be the most complete and ruthless political hit job I've ever witnessed. His career today is in ruins. At least 4 women now, and counting, have come forward claiming that Swalwell is a pathological sexual predator. They've alleged that he gets his young female staffers drunk, sends them unwanted messages and graphic photos, stalks their residences, and in one instance has raped a member of his congressional staff. That woman spoke with CNN about the terrible experience, which she said took place after she'd been drinking with Swalwell. Listen to this.
I remember the next day, I can see flashes of that evening of him on top of me pushing him off, him grabbing me. It was a lot more aggressive. It was aggressive.
Did you say no?
Yes, I said no. In my flash that I can recall, I was pushing him off of me saying no.
And what did he do?
He didn't stop.
He didn't stop. and you woke up the next morning?
I woke up the next morning naked, alone in his hotel room.
And we were able to corroborate that by speaking with friends and family she confided in.
Yeah, now so far, that is the worst of it, the most disturbing of the accusations, but it's accompanied by many other women who detail Swalwell's obsessive and predatory behavior toward young women in his office. Numerous news outlets have corroborated these women's stories with text messages, videos, photos, and Snapchat messages that confirm the timeline that they've shared. Yet Swalwell and his team were continuing to deny the accusations, says he's going to fight against them. But he did drop out of the race for governor late last night. But remember, this is the sanctimonious pig who spent every waking hour pretending to be the white knight fighting against Donald Trump, despite the fact the Epstein files have not provided any kind of credible, incriminating evidence against Donald Trump. This is the kind of narrative that Swalwell has been pushing since his media team came up with it. Listen to this.
Something wrong. I'll just say this. He's not acting like somebody who has nothing to hide, and we shouldn't take him at his word. But this, to me, is just a motivating factor for why we have to be in the majority. The majority matters. It means subpoena power, accountability, power of the purse. And these guys, they think they're invincible. They think either they're never going to lose an election because they'll try and rig them and make it harder to vote, or two, that when we get into the majority, we won't have the balls to hold them accountable. We have to show them they're going to be in the witness chair. Something.
Yeah. You know, in my mind, Eric Swalwell, who has lied about everything, about Russia, about Donald Trump, too many times to recall, he deserves everything that's coming his way. Everything. He thought he was invincible. He thought that these women wouldn't have the guts to come forward. Of course, he did force them to sign non-disclosure agreements. But now that doesn't matter. They're coming forward. And he's the one who's been talking a big game about serving justice for sexual assault survivors. Well, congratulations. We have a winner, Johnny. Tell him what he's won. How about an all-expense-paid trip to the state pen in New York for about 25 to life? In fact, if you use Swalwell's own set of standards, we failed as a democracy if he doesn't go to prison and get what's coming to him. Listen.
Why aren't you talking about Epstein more?
I'm bringing an Epstein survivor to the State of the Union.
Are you?
On Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's really important to me, and you don't have to be a father of a little girl to care about sexual assault. I am a father of a little girl,
right.
And it is really important to me. It's not just, you know, a document or documents. It's kind of a final exam for our democracy, because these are the most powerful people in the world who exploited little girls. And if justice doesn't come, I don't care what party you're in, if justice doesn't come for what you did, then we've failed as a democracy.
Okay. Do you think that you can put together any kind of outside oversight committee where you're involving people with professions like mine, doctors in forensic psychology, specialists in offenders and psychopaths, where we can look at the files and help, because we don't have political bias?
We should, and I'll tell the leadership, you know, on our side, because I know when I was a part of the Russian investigation in 2017, Adam Schiff and I and others were going to outside experts to understand, like, money laundering, to understand espionage tactics, and we learned a lot from that, and I'll pass that back. That's a good idea.
Yeah. 50 staffers, by the way, came out and signed a letter supporting Swalwell dropping out of the race for governor, being expelled from Congress, and being put on trial. He doesn't believe a word that he says himself. It's all been performative virtue signaling the whole time, which, of course, we probably had a pretty good idea. Now he's just counting on his supporters, whoever's left, to believe him. And there aren't many. Let me tell you. Let me see who's jumped Schiff. Adam Schiff jumped. Pelosi jumped. Gavin Newsom jumped. And now in New York, a criminal investigation has been opened against Eric Swalwell. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Yeah. You know, those who protest the loudest and the longest, well, here you go. I'll take a break. More on this when we come back.
At Real America's Voice, we love Pastor Jensen Franklin, a faithful servant of the Lord who brings our audience life-changing sermons every Sunday.
God is after a conversation with you.
And now, Jensen has a new book that will impact you too. What if your most effective prayers were not your longest ones? So many believers feel pressure to say more, thinking longer or more eloquent prayers will move the hand of God. But Scripture says otherwise. Throughout the Bible, brief, heartfelt prayers brought breakthrough and divine intervention.
And if I can inspire you to pray, I can inspire you to be like Jesus.
You will discover how even a simple cry, like, "Lord, save me," can open heaven's windows.
I really believe it's going to change your life.
Filled with biblical examples and practical encouragement, this book will help you pray with confidence in every circumstance.
You are missing so much more God has for your life.
Get ready to experience the miracles that come when you pray short, bold prayers filled with power. Scan the QR code now and order your copy today on Amazon.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Hi, my name's Paul Poyer. I'm Poyer04 in the Getter Chat. I love rap for all the Getter, all the War Room Posse, and all of you guys. Love y'all. Bye.
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
Hi, this is Becky from the Florida Panhandle, and I love watching Real America's Voice for the programming, the hosts, and my Rad Chat family.
Yeah, Eric Swalwell, and some people are like, well, these are years-old allegations. Really, they're not. These allegations run up from some time ago to very current. Yeah, some people calling a political hit job. I mean, you have to ask yourself. Here's Swalwell, who had this long-term sexual, we're told, affair in relationship with a Chinese spy. Christine Fang, or Fang if you prefer. Now, Swalwell gets knocked out of the race. He was the front runner for governor in California. And right now, with only like 20-some days to go before they actually cast ballots there, it seems to me 2 Republicans could end up on top. Yeah. Look, these people don't think for themselves. They just subscribe to whichever twisted ideology best suits their current agenda. But Cheyenne Hunt, another one of the victims who's gone public about her accusations, she's a progressive activist. So again, not a Republican. She explains why she's going public with her accusations now, for those of you that wonder. And to all the people who question the timing, here she is.
personally working with a group of women who want to come forward and share their stories. I am also aware of a much larger group that is also in this process that I am not personally working with. We have secured pro bono legal representation for them, and they are in the process of sharing their information with major outlets while ensuring that their legal and physical safety is protected. That process takes time, but the number of credible women who have come forward since I posted my first video is really shocking, and all of them moving forward together has greatly expedited the timeline of this whole process. But I do not believe in holding Republicans to a standard that we are not willing to uphold ourselves. No more predators in power from either party, period.
Period. Yeah. Many Democrat politicians are calling on Swalwell to resign from the governor's race or rescinding their endorsement. And like I said just a short time ago, he did exactly that. He dumped the governor's race, said he apologizes for bad judgment, blah, 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 but denies the most serious accusations. Of course he does. He's out of the race for governor. He is going to lose his seat in Congress, and he might lose his freedom. What these Democrats are not doing, at least so far, is demanding that he resign from Congress, but he should. They should, and he should. They're not willing. I mean, they made Santos resign from Congress, right? But they're trying to hook it to a Republican, Tony Gonzalez in Texas, who admitted to having an affair with a staffer. He's being investigated. That's not even the same thing as what Swalwell's facing here. And there's no way, come on, that they didn't know about Swalwell's behavior. In fact, apparently there was a pile of evidence. Kevin McCarthy, former Speaker of the House, says everyone knew Swalwell was a problem when it came to young women. Everybody knew it, he said. Listen.
Be very clear. I tried to get rid of Swalwell 6-8 years ago. When I got the briefing, when I became leader with the FBI, Nancy Pelosi was in the room. I turned to her and said, how can you keep her on Intel? Intel is a select committee that only the leaders put on, that you know all the secrets that the members do not. But I made a motion.
Is this about sexual misconduct allegations, or?
It was a combination with the Chinese spy and led to all that. Every member in Congress knows not to let any young staffer get around Swalwell or Matt Gaetz. It's not a secret there. There's a reason why you didn't want those two people around. He was the leading candidate for governor. He probably could have won the primary and gotten there, but this all came forward. And these young women deserve justice.
And a nice swipe at Matt Gaetz on his way by as well. All right, so still not pleased, the former speaker, with how he was treated. Matt Gaetz, of course. Kevin McCarthy laying it down. And just to counterbalance that, Kevin McCarthy saying they looked at the intel report from the FBI, and he turned to Nancy Pelosi and says, we can't keep this guy on these committees. But Hakeem Jeffries, well, he had a different take on Swalwell. This is not from very long ago. Listen.
On his time in Congress, Eric Swalwell, who's both a friend and a classmate, has been a champion for the rule of law, a champion of accountability, a champion of free and fair elections, and a champion of the American way of life. Eric Swalwell is the son of a police officer, comes from a law enforcement family, has a distinguished track record as a prosecutor. Eric Swalwell knows what it means to actually advocate for law and order.
All right, enough.
And Eric Swalwell knows...
We'll see if he advocates for law and order now. Jeffries and Pelosi had both been briefed years before by the FBI on Swalwell's history, as you just heard, and his ongoing sexual affair with a Chinese spy. He also put, think about how this plays in, Chinese interns, young Chinese girls in his office, because that's what he does. Now, if Jeffries and Pelosi had acted responsibly years ago with respect to Swalwell, perhaps he wouldn't have been able to allegedly sexually assault and rape so many women. Hey, look, these Democrats, they don't care. They don't care. It's a dead party. The only reason they kept him there was to go after Donald Trump, to continue to throw things at Donald Trump. They don't care what the truth is, right? They just wanted to get Trump. We'll see where this all leads, but for now, Eric Swalwell's career is over. And that's the monologue. Everyone knows the next medical crisis is just around the corner, whether it comes in the form of a crippling winter storm or a pandemic or something much more mundane like a tick bite. You and your family need to be prepared. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. The Wellness Company and its doctors like Peter McCullough, he appears here regularly. The Wellness Company and its doctors are medical professionals you can trust. And their line of medical kits are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you and your family safe and healthy. Whether it's the medical emergency kit, the contagion kit, the first aid kit, or the travel kit, these prescription kits contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist you in any emergency. Antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics, whatever you need, it's there. I keep these things handy right in my house. You should too. Go to twc.health/Gruber today. twc.health/Gruber today and order twc.health/Gruber. All right, I'll take a break and be right back.
When it's breaking, we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now. Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
So how would you feel about it with Kamala Harris? I might play this bite a little bit later, but I find it delicious. Absolutely delicious. Kamala Harris could run for president again, and I say, Kamala, by gosh, do it. Nothing would make me happier than Kamala Harris running for election again and getting the nomination. By the way, which reminds me, in California now that Swalwell has dropped out of the race because of these allegations of rape and so forth, that leaves Democrats, their leading candidate is the certifiably insane Katie Porter. I mean, she's nuts. And I don't care what your political affiliation is. This woman is nuts. She's the one that screamed. Maybe we'll pull up that video. She had somebody walk through her shot when she was doing like a little live clip. Get out of my effing shot. What the hell? It just goes bananas. Remember that? I sure do. Anyhow, so Katie Porter, member of Congress, is now the only thing left. She's the only thing left for the Democrats. The Republicans could end up with the top two vote getters. Steve Hilton looks like he's in the driver's seat now to win the race to be the next governor of California. Can you imagine? Unless they get some write-in candidate, I suppose. Anyhow, Kamala Harris thinking about running for president. All right, let's be honest. Getting older can be a little creaky. One day you're fine. The next day your knees make a bit of a noise. It sounds like opening a bag of chips. Yeah, it happens. If aches, pains, and sore joints are slowing you down, it might be time to try Patriots Relief Intensive Rub. This deep penetrating rub makes all the difference by targeting those pesky aches and pains. Patriots Relief is now offering an amazing special for Gruber listeners. Get 42% off site-wide and free shipping. Use the promo code Gruber. Call 877-230-1776. 877-230-1776. Or just go to patriotsrelief.com. Promo code Gruber at checkout. You're going to save 42%. We use that around here after we get beat up at the gym. We love it. All right, we'll take a break and be back. This is The Steve Gruber Show.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again.
Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Flashosaurus in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
Hi, my name's Paul Poyer. I'm Poyer04 in the Getter Chat. I love rap for all the Getter, all the War Room Posse, and all of you guys. Love y'all. Bye.
My name is Kyle. I'm with Real America's Voice because we can chat with each other, the hosts, even management. We are the Rav family, and we're better together.
All right, back to it now. Look, we've all seen these really frightening stories of, the video of the 18-wheeler with the guy that couldn't speak English pulling a U-turn on the interstate. Nobody pulls U-turns on the interstate, and then that minivan slammed into the truck, and all the people inside died. We've seen the video of the guy going the wrong way down the highway. I believe that might have been Minnesota. We've seen these things. It's frightening. And that's why we've got Gordon McGill here, third-generation trucker who spent most of his life behind the wheel. His writing about the industry has appeared in Newsweek and the American Conservative, among other outlets. That's why we have him here today. Gord, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Gruber. How's it going?
Going well. Look, truckers are a friend of mine a number of years ago left the industry we're in and bought a pallet company. And I said, well, that's interesting. Why would you buy a pallet company? He says, the whole world moves on pallets. You may not realize that the whole world moves on trucks and trains on pallets. I'm like, okay, I get it. And so the whole world in America does move on 18-wheelers, on pallets. But there's a war on truckers, you say, and I think it's true. We're what, 80,000 drivers short right now? We've got these trucking schools, a lot of people that can't speak English, who can't answer 2 questions out of 10 about road signs, getting CDLs in places like Illinois and New York and putting the rest of us at risk. What is this war on truckers that you talk about?
If I may be so bold and not to be a dishonorable guest, sir, but I need to correct you about something. There is no shortage of truck drivers. There's never been one, and this is part of the problem. What we're seeing today, these crashes everywhere, people from other countries here illegally getting issued dodgy CDLs. They don't speak English. They have no idea what they're doing. This didn't come out of nowhere, okay? This didn't just happen overnight. This is the end point of a long process of de-skilling and attempting to basically eliminate the truck driver, right? And that starts off in the 1980s after the passage of the Motor Carrier Act of 1980, which brought some momentous changes to the trucking industry, and there was a necessary reform. But the people who advocated for those changes, that wanted a free market in trucking, did not want a free market in labor, because that means they would have to pay market rates for the drivers. And in the late 1980s, we start to hear this thing about a truck driver shortage. Except it's not true. There's tons of people with CDLs. There's tons of people that go through these CDL schools and systems. These dodgy CDL schools we see today are just an extension of dodgy CDL schools that started in the 1980s, that were government funded and meant to undergird what the actual problem was. We've never had a shortage of truck drivers. The industry just can't keep them. So they end up quitting after they discover that truck drivers are not paid for a great deal of the time they spend away from their families. Truck drivers are exempted under law, under the 1938 Fair Labor Standards Act, from being paid overtime. The truck driver's time is wasted constantly. There's a major problem in the industry called detention that nobody's bothered to try and fix all these years, even though the Biden administration was told about it by a data scientist from MIT who studied the issue. And this shortage narrative went through so many people, and then it runs into the Biden administration's open borders policies, and then runs into the corruption at various states like California and Texas and Florida.
Let me jump in there, because what I'm getting out of this is, I listened to you explain this narrative about there being a shortage of truck drivers then leads into these fly-by-night truck schools that have no standards whatsoever, and the government says, well, we have a shortage of truckers, so we better license these folks so they can get people out on the road because we have this problem. But the real takeaway is these drivers from foreign countries work cheap. Whether they can read English or not seems irrelevant. They work cheap, and therefore it pushes down the cost. Is that what I'm getting here?
That's a great deal of it, sir. And it's not just about working cheap. It's a lot of these guys are actually exploited and abused. Something many people say, why don't we just, find the companies, shut down the trucking companies? The trucking companies that employ these guys are usually their co-ethnics. There's a whole network of small trucking companies that have popped up across America in the last 5-6 years, especially since COVID, and especially since a number of policy changes and really bad moves by the Biden administration. And so more often than not, these guys are working for other people from where they come from. The trucking companies are often located overseas or directed from overseas. We had this issue in Indiana a couple months ago. These 4 Amish guys were killed. The driver was from Kyrgyzstan. The guy who owned the company he worked for was from Kyrgyzstan. And what are we doing here? That company from Kyrgyzstan, the owner of it had a video on YouTube bragging about how he'd expanded to 500 trucks, while American companies have been closing left, right, and center. There's an industry news website called FreightWaves. They have a section called Bankruptcies and Layoffs, and they've been documenting American trucking companies going out of business at a steady rate since about 2020, since COVID. And they're being replaced by these small companies who subcontract to people like Amazon. They're connected with this crazy outfit in Chicago called Super Ego, who was a focus of a documentary from 60 Minutes last night. They go to work for big trucking companies. A lot of large carriers now, like JB Hunt, Knight Swift, Werner, they advertise power only on their websites. Power only means they're subcontracting out the trucks and drivers. American trucking companies don't even want to employ Americans or even bother owning trucks, and now they subcontract all these guys, many of whom have no clue what they're doing, are in the United States illegally.
Well, let me ask you that. You've laid out quite a case here, Gordon, and so here's what I want to ask you. We've only got a couple of minutes left, because I think this is what people are most interested in. How dangerous? I mean, we've seen the videos of what happened in Florida. We've seen the videos of these 18-wheelers running down the interstate on the wrong side of the road as if they're, drunk at 3 in the morning.
It's extremely dangerous. If you can't speak English, you can't read road signs, you can't read weather updates, you can't read your safety inspection form even if you're performing one at all. You can't communicate with law enforcement. You don't understand our driving culture.
How many are out there?
Hundreds of thousands. I understand Secretary Duffy has been trying to, do some stuff with English language enforcement. The problem is you can hand a ticket to a guy that can't read English. He doesn't read it, and he just keeps on trucking. They have to start seizing trucks. The English language enforcement stuff is not enough. They have to seize trucks, and they have to close companies down because these guys view America as a pay bag.
Wait a second. What happens to the truck? We've seen these people get arrested. What happens to the truck once they get arrested?
Sometimes it just stays at the inspection station and the company has to collect it, or it gets towed to a yard and then they come and get it and then they just put another driver in it. This is the problem with the English language proficiency out of service orders. It just pushes the driver out of service. It doesn't do anything to the company or the truck.
Sounds like we need to get Duffy even more involved. Seize the trucks. I mean, if these are, Serbian gang members running trucking companies or illegal Somalian trucking companies, seize the assets. That's what happened in the drug case. Anyhow, I got to leave it right there, Gord. You come back anytime. Like your style. So
thank you so much, sir. Now you can read more about this.
Go ahead. Read where?
You can read more about this in my book, End of the Road, Inside the War on Truckers, out now.
End of the Road with Gord McGill. Gord, thank you. You'll be back.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And we'll be back after this.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Flash a source in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with a family I love.
Hi, my name's Paul Poyer. I'm Poyer04 in the Getter Chat. I love rap for all the Getter, all the War Room Posse, and all of you guys. Love y'all. Bye.
My name is Kyle. I'm with Real America's Voice because we can chat with each other, the hosts, even management. We are the RAV family, and we're better together.
A mixed bag, if you will, on the oil and gas markets this morning. Oil is up, $6 or $8 a barrel because of the failure of a deal in Iran. But Iran came in with 71 people in their entourage, 71, which is weird because I didn't know that many people left in their government. But so it is. And laid down a list of demands. Iran would have full control of the Strait of Hormuz, right? Iran would be able to dictate everything that happens there, plus issue tolls, right? Iran would have a permanent ceasefire. Nobody could ever attack Iran ever again. And so this is how they opened the 21-hour conversation. It was not going anywhere. So Trump has put in a blockade. Donald Trump says he instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran, and that no one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. Do not pay the extortion fee. All right? So there's that. So that's the main story we're following here. Gas has remained about even. I think the average this morning is $4.12 a gallon. It's actually gone down around here. It's down to about $3.80. Which is better than it was. Not as good as it was, in February, but not bad. Anyhow, so back to the other big story, because I look at what's happened to Eric Swalwell and you think, man, what did he do and to whom that really set this in motion? We know that he had an affair with a Chinese spy for 10 years. And that Chinese spy that he's having this affair with put interns into his office, and now this whole latest series of allegations. But having an intimate relationship with a Chinese spy who put interns in your office, had all this connection and all this access to a guy who was on the House Intelligence Committee, that wasn't enough to get him pushed out the door. So I just ask, who did he step on? Because this has been a complete political execution. He's done. He's not going anywhere. His career's over. And so now that he's dropped out of the race for governor in California, the Democrats have their number 2 candidate, Katie Porter. Right? Katie Porter is now the leading Democrat in the race to be governor of California. So let's take a quick peek at what they've got to look forward to as their second choice. Here she is.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. Every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't care. I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there. And we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never had to do this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end an interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
So I am going to make...
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through... I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these, and if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative...
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want this...
All right, so that's what they have to look forward to in California if Katie Porter becomes their Democrat. If she makes the cut, which is she's running in the single digits. We'll see where that comes up. Speaking of law and order, because Eric Swalwell he's canceled his race for governor. He could lose his seat in Congress. He could lose his freedom because of rape allegations. My next guest is Peter Tickton, founder and senior managing partner at the Tickton Law Group. His name has been circulating to be the next Attorney General. He joins me now. Peter, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, all right. So you're I guess they'd refer to you as a bit of a dark horse, Peter, but your name is in circulation. Tell me about that.
Well, there are certain things that just need to be done. Do I aspire to be the Attorney General of the United States? No. I have my practice. I got my life. But and to take on this job would mean that I'd have to sacrifice everything over the next few years because the job is going to take everything. We've got a department which is just too big. It's too big due to the fact that believe it or not, the weaponization really stems from the fact that we decriminalize so many drugs, especially marijuana. Not that that's a problem. That's not I don't have an opinion on that as much as I do the fact that we reduced our crime by about 25% because we decriminalized certain crimes that were very big in the department. About in 1998, it was 32% of all crimes were drug crimes.
Sure.
So now let's say it's 25% is gone. But we didn't reduce our police, and we didn't reduce our prosecutors.
I think that, if I may, we've only got a couple of minutes here. If I may, I think the two biggest things for people that were pleased that Pam Bondi was pushed out. Number one, they want accountability. They want accountability for people that are committing crimes. They want accountability in the Epstein affair, whatever all that is. And they want accountability for all this fraud that's being seen in places like Minnesota and California. They want people to go to jail. They want people in handcuffs here. They want Eric Swalwell in handcuffs if that's what it is appropriate. They feel like nobody gets held accountable. Yeah, and what's your comment?
Where I'm going, yes, exactly. Let me just jump to what you're saying, because that's where I was already heading, because that's where we get the AUSAs to be able to do that job. There were people that actually, January 6th was planned in advance by the left. We have their names. We have videos of their meetings from back to September of 2020. But this is a conspiracy that's been ongoing. Nobody's going after these people. Nobody's going after the real wrongdoers of January 6th. Nobody's going after the people that interfered with our elections. Nobody's going after all the people. I mean, what about the people who basically destroyed evidence from the January 6th committee, for instance? And then we see all these people. Schiff isn't arrested. I mean, you've got people that have been blatantly in the public eye committing mortgage fraud, and nobody's going after these people.
That's
Nobody
exactly
can
right. No accountability. Peter, I wish we had a little bit more time, but there's your introduction to the general public. Look, we've got to hold people accountable, Peter. I greatly appreciate you being here. Next time you come back, we'll spend a little bit more time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Greatly appreciate it. We've got it. Mortgage fraud is a crime for you and I. He's not wrong about that. Got to hold people accountable. Your thoughts. We'll be right back.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Flash a Soros in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with a family I love.
Hi, my name's Paul Foyer. I'm Foyer04 in the Getter Chat. I love rap for all the Getter, all the War Room Posse, and all of you guys. Love y'all. Bye.
a brand new episode of Forgotten America, the podcast. It launches today. All right, very exciting.
People at high risk for death and hospitalization, and that's those of us like myself that are over 65. I have been vaccinated. I've been vaccinated 8 times, but I'm vaccinated with the protein vaccine. I don't use the mRNA vaccine anymore.
And by the way, if you want it with the protein vaccine, totally different. He won't take mRNA. He said we're wrong about all that. We put people at risk. We got people killed. Oh, it's a great conversation. You can find it at 9 o'clock this morning. That'll drop. Brand new episode today, 9 o'clock this morning. He was I could have talked to him for 6 hours. Fascinating guy. Smart guy who said, look, we got it wrong, and here's what we should have done. Protein vaccine. Totally different thing, right? So when he says he got vaccinated 8 times, take a deep breath. That's not what he means. Not mRNA. He said nobody should get that. Nobody. You can find that right there. Steve Gruber on YouTube. Ivy and I have this great conversation with him. By the way, Ivy's coming up next here on the program, so we look forward to that. As always, that's how we start the second hour of the program every day, with a big smile from Ivy and a look at the headlines. I wonder what she thinks about Eric Swalwell or anything else that's going on. We'll have to ask her, right? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. Vice President J.D. Vance, along with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, are headed to Pakistan for ceasefire negotiations with Iran. Just before boarding Air Force Two earlier this morning, the Vice President had this to say about the upcoming meetings.
As the President of the United States said, if the Iranians are willing to negotiate in good faith, we're certainly willing to extend the open hand. If they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find that the negotiating team is not that receptive. So we're going to try to have a positive negotiation. The President has gave us some pretty clear guidelines, and we're going to see.
The Trump administration says Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon and enriched uranium. That is an absolute red line. Plus, the Gulf of Hormuz must be reopened. There's also a movement this morning, though, when it comes to a potential ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Iran argues that Lebanon was part of the initial ceasefire agreement, while the U.S. and Israel say that's just not the case. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirms that Israel and Lebanon are expected to begin negotiations in Washington next week. However, Netanyahu says there is no ceasefire in Lebanon at the moment, and his country will continue strikes on Hezbollah. Back at the White House, First Lady Melania Trump causing quite the stir after her pronouncement that she did not have a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is not one of his victims. During a brief statement from the White House Thursday, the First Lady pushing back against online speculation that Epstein introduced she and President Trump. She also used the opportunity to urge Congress to hold public hearings for Epstein victims to tell their stories.
Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth.
And in other headlines, it is splashdown day for the Artemis II crew. They're set to return to Earth just after 8 Eastern time tonight off the coast of San Diego. The 4 astronauts are heading back following a 10-day trip around the moon. The Artemis II mission, by the way, completed a lunar flyby, traveling farther from Earth than any humans since the Apollo era. This trip sets the stage for a return of astronauts to the moon's surface as soon as 2028. Artemis II is returning with never-before seen pictures of the moon. Meteorologist Patrick Crawford from our friends over at Weather Nation has tonight's splashdown forecast.
Today is the day we get splashdown with Artemis II, and that's going to be happening close to the Southern California coastline. Of course, the weather is a huge factor when it comes to these ships and these re-entries into the atmosphere. Of course, when it comes to splashdown, and they have to get out there and get the astronauts, the weather could be a big factor. We look at the moisture, we look at the winds, we also look at the waves. So we're keeping an eye on all of those conditions for splashdown today. Focusing on that forecast, there are the sky conditions, just some cloud cover. There's not going to be much as far as any precipitation that's going to be impacting that splashdown. And wave heights, it looks like the weather's going to cooperate. You can see some big waves happening out in the Pacific waters, but they're not going to be in that location of where we're expecting splashdown, and also those winds. Not too bad. A little breezy, especially later on tonight, but should be good enough for a safe splashdown with those weather conditions.
Go ahead and download the Weather Nation app, by the way, because you can watch a live stream of tonight's splashdown on Weather Nation. The U.S. Postal Service is dealing with some major budget issues. As a result, the USPS just informed federal budget officials that it will temporarily suspend its employer contributions to the federal employees' retirement system annuities. The move is being made so the service can keep making payroll and delivering your mail. The Postal Board of Governors also warns that the current rate of spending, the agency could actually run out of cash by around February of next year. Despite the suspension, current and future retirees, however, will not feel the immediate impact. That's the word coming from the Postal Service. In order to make up for the shortfall, though, the cost of a stamp could soon go up 4 cents from 79 to 82 cents. Just something to keep in mind the next time you go to the post office. That's a quick check of your headlines.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Just sexual harassment. No, he's accused of rape. The state of New York opening a criminal investigation into this matter. It is something. His run for governor over. His seat in Congress likely gone. His freedom could be in jeopardy. Let's get Ivy in on this conversation. Ivy, obsess over this story all weekend. I'm like, wow.
Good morning.
Good morning. I mean, who did this guy? I mean, look,
oh, my goodness.
How many times have you and I talked about Fang Fang? This guy has had a long track record of being, in bad places doing bad things, and he was never held accountable. This time, the whole world came out against him. You just have to wonder, who picked up the phone and said, take him out?
Well, I mean, when women start to come forward and many start to stack up against you and with this very similar allegations, you have no choice but to say, hey, we need to pull your run for governor. And we need to investigate this, okay? Yeah. But I really like Anna Paulina Luna's take on this. I want you guys to hear this. Bite 4.
So on Friday, I had my staff initiate the process and file, or set the process to file motions for expulsions for multiple members of Congress, both Democrat and Republican. And I think even though Democrats and Republicans might have ideological differences, I think we should be able to all agree on the basics that maybe if you're, I don't know, sexually harassing or assaulting or have issues of domestic violence or you're stealing funds from FEMA, maybe you should not be in Congress, right? Like maybe it's time for you to go home and figure those issues out, not on taxpayer dollars. So yes, I am going to be bringing forward the motion to expel Eric Swalwell next week. And I think that this is going to trigger other motions. And you know what? Bring it. It's time. This is way overdue. I think that this is just the bare minimum that we can deliver for the American people, is not tolerate public corruption in the House of Representatives. This is not rocket science. This is basic 101. Most people go to jail over this. So it's time for these people to go. So yes, I'll be voting to expel members of Congress. And I hope my colleagues join me. We need 2/3 of the vote.
Yeah. Yeah, I could not have said it better. This is common sense. Why there is a slush fund in Congress in order to utilize money to keep
there for years.
Keep these sorts of things, out of the public eye. And listen, there's a couple great quotes. Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah. I just look at this and I go, what? Where did you go wrong? Why do you think that when you have all this power that you can do this?
I mentioned this to you here yesterday. Here's what bothers me about this. She is going to push a vote to have Eric Swalwell tossed out of Congress, and she'll do that maybe as early as today, and that's good. And the Democrats say we fully support that, but only if you throw out Tony Gonzalez. Now, Tony Gonzalez is a much less known story. He's a Republican from Texas who admitted to having an affair with a staff member. So he's being investigated by the House Ethics Committee, as he should be.
Right, exactly.
But that's not on par with what we're. That is not even.
That is not getting staff members or women drunk and feed them. Was there more than that? Was there like drugs
Hard
too?
to say. We've seen the videos, which apparently one of the videos shows Swalwell in, I think it's in his house with a sex worker. There's a bunch of other people in the room. It's like,
really?
Yeah, there's another dude on the bed. There's some woman in the background. It's all very.
Makes me want to take a shower. I feel gross.
It's pretty gross.
And I think though that everyday Americans look at this and go, okay, hopefully we can see some sort of justice prevail, because if not, then once again people are left thinking, well, there's two different forms of justice, one for those who are in power and those for the rest of us. But listen, with great power comes great responsibility, and you have to really.
You know what's sad to me?
Follow your ethics and your values. He
had no ethics or values, apparently.
Right.
But we know this. He lied about Trump and Russia. Mm-hmm. He lied about Trump and Epstein.
Right.
He
was like a mouthpiece for all of that.
Of course he was. That's why the Democrats left him in place for so long. They didn't care that he was a pig. He was their pig. He was not rolling around in the mud. And if he was rolling around with interns, they didn't care as long as he was attacking Trump.
They look the other way.
Yeah, blind eye.
Have a blind eye for this stuff because he's out there on TV all the time, trying to take down Trump. Which brings me to another bite.
All right. Mm-hmm. He used to be I didn't agree with him, but he was an interesting pundit on the left, and you could get a pretty good gauge of what they were thinking. This is just insanity. There's nothing of value here. He's gone off the deep end. He's gone off his meds, apparently. Mm-hmm. This is the. But Ivy, this is a perfect example of what's happened to the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
They used to be sane, at least, I think.
Well, this is I think that is exactly what the leftists think about President Trump.
Yeah.
And
not liberals, not Democrats, the leftists, which is fair.
The radical folks on the left, absolutely.
And I saw this on social media. I'm going to see what you think of this. They still call themselves Democrats, even though they're not. This is not John Kennedy. No. This is not even Bill Clinton. But they still call themselves Democrats because they can't come to call themselves communists in public yet. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that?
Well, I think the rest of us know exactly what that means, and that they absolutely represent and want communism in this country. And, for those who are just shouting, yes, we want communism, it's like, maybe you want to do a little history, research, and maybe go visit some of these countries that have no freedom. And then, we have it so great here in America. We don't have any. A lot of these people don't even, have $1,000 cell phone and $1,000 computer in their hand, and they're like, yeah, the world is horrible.
Yeah, they hold up their Apple, their iPhone, while they complain about capitalism. Anyhow, Ivy, we're off to a new start. New week. Love you.
I love you.
What do you think about Swalwell? Send us an email, stevegruber.com. Stevegruber.com, the place to send us an email. Or anything else for that matter. Happy Monday. We'll be right back.
When it's breaking,
We're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Flash a source in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
Hi, my name's Paul Poyer. I'm Poyer04 in the Getter Chat. I love rap for all the Getter, all the War Room Posse, and all of you guys. Love y'all. Bye.
My name is Kyle. I'm with Real America's Voice because we can chat with each other, the hosts, even management. We are the RAV family, and we're better together.
Make America healthy again. It starts with you. Let's just be honest about that. Man, making America healthy again, it starts with us. Ivy had us eating clean, normal food ever since I've known her. All this highly processed stuff always made me feel like garbage, and that's a big part of it. People hear a lot today about cleaning up the food supply, the role of hidden chemicals and preservatives and dyes and all this. But what if the bigger issue is that people don't have a willpower problem at all? What if their body has simply been knocked out of fat-burning mode? Maybe it's by all these preservatives. Maybe it's by the highly processed food. Maybe it's just because we got out of whack. Joining me now is somebody I've known for almost 10 years. Missy McCullough from My Pure Health. Missy, nice to see you.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. You know, look, I did your program in 2018, and for anybody that doesn't know, I lost 47 pounds in, I don't know, about 60 days. I didn't even know I had 47 pounds to lose, but once I got going, it was like, well, this is kind of cool. I'm just going to keep going. Most of that weight has stayed away. Every now and then you need a little reset. But the fact of the matter is people blame themselves. If it was about willpower and this and that, they'd already be done. But the weight loss industry is billions of dollars with all sorts of schemes and this and that. Yours is not a scheme. Yours is real food. You help me lose weight in a real way. And the people that work with you, same thing, right?
Absolutely. What I like to tell people every time that they get to hear my voice, I like to say it's not your fault you can't lose weight, because we've kind of been bamboozled here in America. A lot of the toxins that have been allowed into our mainstream have really thrown our body's chemistry out of balance. So what really causes the metabolism to work isn't what most people think it is.
Well, then what is it? Because people get told they don't have the discipline. You've got to do this and that. You've got to, eat 1,000 calories a day and walk 1,000 miles. That's not really it, is it?
No, if it were a discipline problem, I mean, most people wouldn't be where we're at right now, but it's an inside job. The systems inside the human metabolism is run is run in a lot of ways as depends on how stressed out your body is, because when the body gets stressed or inflamed, when it is the sleep patterns are thrown out of balance, your body will stop burning fat. It will go into protection mode to protect you. And so you see people that they're eating like a bunny rabbit and they're going to the gym and the scale's not moving. It's not it's an inside story. The inside of the human body has been thrown out of balance due to a lot of the stressors that have been coming into America over the last.
A lot of fads out there. There's a new diet every day. New thing on social media. This is the new great thing and blah, blah, blah. But when you say, let's talk about, because this goes back 10 years, you and I. This worked. I mean, I've seen literally thousands of your customers from all over the United States say, oh, my God, I've tried everything. This worked. What's actually causing your body to shift out of fat burning mode?
Oh my gosh, it's a network. I mean, it's a network. Our bodies have gone offline in many ways. Our bodies are controlled by hormones, it's by sleep, it's inflammation, all the hidden stressors. So it's an inside job, and you need to recalibrate the body and bring it back online with a natural approach. No shots, no hormones or anything like that. But you have to figure out what the problem is to begin with, and then you have to fix it with a customized approach, because what's going on inside of your body is unique to you. And it's not designed to be a one-size-fits-all shot, program, or anything. It has to be a customized approach.
Yeah, here's the beauty of it. Whether it's blood sugar, hormones, steroid, or stressors, inflammation, whatever it might be. When those systems get out of whack and under pressure, bad things happen, and I gain weight. So here's what Missy does, just so you guys understand. It doesn't matter where you are, Alaska to the Keys, right? And all points in between. She will send you a scanner, and they'll do a full body scan on you, because what is unique to you is different than me. Rice, for example, I learned in my process, if I eat rice, much as I like it, I'm going to gain weight. I don't know why. It's no different. The starch in rice is no different than the starch in potatoes, but it's starch and doesn't work for me, Missy. So you can scan anybody in America, because when the systems get stressed or my body's out of whack, you can dial that in, and it can work anywhere in America. And you can see the pictures on your screen for those of you on the stream. Look, these are real people, and some of these folks have been on the program with me, because they're like, Gruber, I didn't think this was possible, and here we are, right? You restore the body. You basically go to the factory reset. How about that for a way to look at it? You go to the factory reset, right?
Thank you. We have to bring the body back online. And thanks to technology, thanks to the things that have been suppressed in America for over 100 years, thank God for people like RFK and Trump, bringing things back to the forefront and bringing things back to what we should naturally know. I don't want people to be discouraged. It's not your fault you can't lose weight. Regardless of what age you are, medications you are on, your body knows how to restore itself naturally.
Yeah. All right. So here's the bottom line. Women, you can lose 20 to 25 pounds in about 40 days. Guys, up to 50 pounds in 40 days. That's why I went a little bit longer, right? And I did it. So look, here's the thing. You're never going to hear me talk about any product here or talk to people like Missy, a good friend of mine now after all these years, unless I believe in the program. And I do. So here's the deal. Go to gruberhealth.com. Gruberhealth.com. Right, Missy? And you'll give them a free consultation.
Free consultation, of course, for Steve. Steve groupies. You do have a lot of fan base out there, Steve. I tell you what, groupies, Gruber groupies. Yeah, and you get a discount. I mean, you meet people. We're real people, just like Steve and Ivy are real people. We'll meet you right where you're at.
There you go. Missy, always nice to see you. Have a wonderful week.
Thanks, Steve. I like your haircut. That's
there
good.
You go. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that. Yeah. All right, GruberHealth.com, GruberHealth.com. Free consultation. Look, I've known her for years. She does it because she helps people. And look, we've all been down that road. Oh, here's the new greatest thing on weight loss and working out and blah, blah, blah. Go with what works. Hit the factory reset, GruberHealth.com. Plus, if you go to GruberHealth.com, you see some really cool pictures of me. You're going to like that. Can't beat it. All right. Let's see. We've got a lot of ground to cover here today. Still, we've got John Shively, Alaska Commissioner of Natural Resources, America's largest copper deposit. That's important going forward in America. We need to look at American resources, putting America first. We'll talk about it coming up.
When the world takes its shots, some break, others rise. From Rachel Holt comes Ammunition in collaboration with Bass Records. Stand against the noise, the hate, the voices trying to tear you down. Every word thrown your way. Fuel to fight back stronger. Scan the QR code and download now on iTunes. Turn pressure into power. Own it today. Only on Real America's Music.
So bring it, knock me, tear me, rock me, mow me down.
All right, don't forget, coming up 9 o'clock this morning, a new episode of Forgotten America is going to drop with Dr. Robert Redfield, fascinating guy who was in charge of the CDC when COVID hit, and says quite openly we got it all wrong. And mRNA, terrible thing. He takes a protein vaccine now. You'll learn about that and so much more. I think we have by the way, it's on YouTube, 9 o'clock this morning, me and Ivy talking to Dr. Robert Redfield. Episode 10, I've lost track. Anyhow, Anthony, I think you have a preview for us. Go ahead and hit that.
Medical groups that say we should let experts make the decision. They went ahead and filed suit against Kennedy, and so they had a judge in Massachusetts make the decision to throw out all of Kennedy's and all of CDC's recommendations. And so now the judge is making the recommendations, which I think is exactly the opposite of what they advocate about letting science get involved in this. So I don't disagree with the change that Kennedy made at all in the COVID vaccines. I think they should be used for people at high risk for death and hospitalization.
But when he talks about vaccines, people at high risk, he's not talking about mRNA. Oh, you have to see this conversation. Hear this conversation. It's free. Become a subscriber at YouTube. Free. Just click that QR code. You're really going to enjoy this. Forgotten America. Telling the stories that others don't seem to pick up on. All right, an organic skincare brand called Purance has been turning heads recently at Al Cosmo and LA Weekly. To date, they've helped over 60,000 women to fall in love with their skin complexion again. Purance delivers clean organic skincare without harsh preservatives. Their cellular restoration serum features a gentle alternative to retinol. All right, it's a small focus group. 92.9% of women saw fewer wrinkles after 3 weeks of applying this product. All right, maybe I should be using it. For women, you guys always get the good stuff. Their cellular hydration serum contains tremolo mushroom, which hydrates the deepest layers of the skin, better than hyaluronic acid. Easy for me to say. Then there's the Lift and Glow Organic Eye Cream. If you want to lighten the appearance of dark under circles under your eyes, you got it too. Lift and Glow. Finally, they have Even Glow Serum. Even Glow features more products that help you look great. Even Glow works wonders for reducing dark spot appearance, and right now, for a limited time, you can save 35% on all Purance products. Simply go to Purance.com. Enter coupon code EARLY at checkout. All right? We'll be right back.
When the world takes its shots, some break, others rise. From Rachel Holt comes Ammunition in collaboration with Bass Records. Stand against the noise, the hate, the voices trying to tear you down. Every word thrown your way. Fuel to fight back stronger. Scan the QR code and download now on iTunes. Turn pressure into power. Own it today. Only on Real America's Music.
So bring it, knock me, tear me, rock me, mow me down. Load your words, take your aim and take me out. Keep on shooting and missing if it makes you feel strong, and I'll keep stocking up on ammunition. On ammunition.
When the world takes its shots, some break, others rise. From Rachel Holt comes Ammunition in collaboration with Bass Records. Stand against the noise, the hate, the voices trying to tear you down. Every word thrown your way. Fuel to fight back stronger. Scan the QR code and download now on iTunes. Turn pressure into power. Own it today. Only on Real America's Music.
So bring it, knock me, tear me, rock me, mow me down. Load your words, take your aim and take me out. Keep on shooting and missing if it makes you feel strong, and I'll keep stocking up on ammunition. On ammunition.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to Rav. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that Rav News is the best news. Number one news. Truth seekers. Seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
I'm Lou, Mega Pilot from Rav's Getter Chat here in beautiful Trump County, Florida. The best place for real news is Real America's Voice.
All right, back to it now. Look, there's a great push in this country, at least you would think so, to put America first, because you hear about it all the time. To put American energy first, to get everything ready to go so that we can step out and not be reliant on China and others. Well, my next guest has been here before, John Shively, former Alaska Commissioner of Natural Resources, more than 40 years of experience. And he says, look, here we are, watching the Trump DOJ block the largest undeveloped copper deposit in America, just like the Biden administration did. John, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Steve. Nice to be back.
Nice to see you, sir. All right, so where are we in this? Because you basically say the DOJ has put in, and I'm going to read this, that you did an op-ed for Real Clear Energy, which is Real Clear Politics. Anybody, just you go through the columns. It creates a regulatory kill switch that any future administration could use to preemptively block mines, pipelines, energy infrastructure, even after the science clears them. Well, that's a pretty dangerous place to be. So it's just some Green New Deal zealot could get things blocked, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And, I mean, it's a tool that the Obama administration started using. It's part of the Clean Water Act. It allows EPA to veto projects, we think under certain conditions, but not under the conditions they basically used for us. So we sued the Biden administration, who finalized the veto. And we thought the Trump administration might settle with us before going to court, but they decided to support the Biden veto, and so the court's going to decide.
All right, so which court? What court has jurisdiction over this deal?
So it's federal district court in Alaska that'll make the first decision. We get to file our final briefs next week, this week, I'm sorry. And then there may be oral argument, but we expect there will be a decision sometime late this summer, early fall.
All right, so look, reading the tea leaves, very dangerous when it comes to court decisions. As you know, John, any inkling whatsoever as to which direction. I mean, obviously you'd like to win, and I'm assume you think you have great arguments, but all lawyers think they have great arguments and great cases, right?
Yeah. Well, we're feeling pretty good about it because the state of Alaska is on our side. Our mining prospect is on state lands. The state was given these lands by the federal government in order to help develop the economy, and the fact that the federal government has stepped in and said, "Oh no, you can't develop it. It's a great prospect. We gave it to you when you became a state. We told you could have lands because we knew you needed lands to develop it for your in order for the state to be prosperous. But no, we're stopping you."
So, 6.4 billion pounds of copper. China controls half of the global copper refining. U.S. imports 45% of its copper supply currently. Let me ask you, you mentioned the state land there. Let me ask you something else about that. You mentioned state land because what about tribal land? What about First Nations? How do they weigh in on this?
Well, they're split. Alaska's different than most other states because when the land settlement came, the land went to native corporations, not to tribal governments. And so I work for a native corporation headquartered north of the Arctic Circle, where we worked with a mining company to develop one of the largest zinc-lead mines in the world in an area that had very little economic opportunity, and it changed the economics of the whole area. Which is why I decided to take on Pebble, which was much more controversial, and because it's in the Bristol Bay watershed, which is the largest sockeye fishery in the world.
So here's a complicating factor. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, big hunters, big fishermen, big outdoorsmen, right? Have been as long as I've known. So one of the things that he seems to be up against here in this administration, Donald Trump Jr. has been openly against the Pebble mine and everything that's going on. Does that make any difference at all in the court case or anything else?
Doesn't make any difference in the court case. I think it certainly made a difference in Trump 1 when they actually turned down our permit. The Corps of Engineers turned down our permit. We haven't seen Don Jr. being active this administration, and we've looked for that. So it's a different time. I mean, in Trump 1, there wasn't the push for minerals. We didn't. Although some of us realized how much control China had over processing minerals and how much more they wanted to have. It wasn't a big deal. It is a big deal in this administration, and I think perhaps that has had some influence on Don Jr.
So, tell me, John, in just very clear terms, how far behind China are we when it comes to? Well, I mean, we know where we are with rare earth elements because they're not really rare, but the processing of those rare earths is rare in America. We have one company doing it. How far behind are we with China with copper? I mean, I see that they've got a majority of it, but how bad a situation is this?
Well, we haven't developed a new copper processing plant in this country in decades. And we've, offshored it. China does some of it. We get a bunch of our copper from Chile and some other countries. But China has, for the last couple decades, started building processing plants and building the power plants that are needed to make those processing plants work. And we have not been doing it. So, and they're doing something else now that is even, I think, a little more dangerous. They have a different economic system than we do, and they basically control it, and they control sort of the whole supply line. So, they get the concentrate, they make the minerals, then they put the minerals in their cars or in the solar panels or in the refrigerators or whatever they do. So they don't have to make a profit in every step of that process. And what they're doing right now is they are paying people to process their concentrate. I mean, to me, it's sort of like somebody going to the car wash and the car wash guy saying, well, I'll pay you to let me wash your car because I know the grime I'm getting off of it has a bunch of stuff in it that's valuable, and I'll be able to sell that to somebody else. I mean, that's what China's doing. And so it's if we won't go into the processing arena in this country, which we need to do, we absolutely need to do, we are at an economic disadvantage because of how the communist China can deal with their processing and what they charge.
John, I think you've identified a problem here for us. It's not the natural resources, which we have in spades in America. Whether it's copper or timber or farmland or water, doesn't matter. Oil, we got it all. We don't have processing facilities, not for rare earth. Haven't built a refinery for gasoline in 50 years. Haven't built a processing plant for copper in 50 years. We need to get our act together and just start processing what we already have in our possession. John, I got to leave it there, but you have identified the problem. We've got the natural resources. We need to get our act together when it gets to putting those natural resources to work for us. John, I'll keep a close eye. You'll be back sometime soon. Thank you, sir.
Steve, thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. We've got it all, my friends. All the natural resources you can imagine right here in America. We need to keep it and process it and refine it here. I'll take a break and be right back.
When the world takes its shots, some break, others rise. From Rachel Holt comes Ammunition in collaboration with Bass Records. Stand against the noise, the hate, the voices trying to tear you down. Every word thrown your way. Fuel to fight back stronger. Scan the QR code and download now on iTunes. Turn pressure into power. Own it today. Only on Real America's Music.
So bring it, knock me, tear me, rock me, mow me down. Load your words, take your aim and take me out. Keep on shooting and missing if it makes you feel strong, and I'll keep stocking up on ammunition. On ammunition.
When the world takes its shots, some break, others rise. From Rachel Holt comes Ammunition in collaboration with Bass Records. Stand against the noise, the hate, the voices trying to tear you down. Every word thrown your way. Fuel to fight back stronger. Scan the QR code and download now on iTunes. Turn pressure into power. Own it today. Only on Real America's Music.
So bring it, knock me, tear me, rock me, mow me down. Load your words, take your aim and take me out. Keep on shooting and missing if it makes you feel strong, and I'll keep stocking up on ammunition. On ammunition.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to RAV. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. Number one news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
I'm Lou, Mega Pilot from Rav's Getter Chat here in beautiful Trump County, Florida. The best place for real news is Real America's Voice.
You know, it bothers me when I see stories like this that I'm about to share with you, because you see people that are out there struggling, right? Veterans are out there struggling. American citizens are out there struggling. And yet you'll see these politicians take a big chunk of money and say, well, you know what? Let's make it nicer for inmates in prison. Let's make it nicer for illegal aliens. Let's get them a place. All these things. Dennis Neal is joining me. He's an award-winning journalist, former CNBC and Fox Business anchor, former managing editor at Forbes as well. Dennis, thank you for being here.
It's great to see you, Steve. Happy Monday. Man, not a day goes by without another major world-shattering event as everyone dances to the tune set by President Trump. Yeah,
it's true. But in New York City, they're dancing to a completely different tune. It's a 1970s socialist tune. Mamdani opening a New York City high-end. I don't even know if they would do this in the Soviet Union or Cuba, but he's opening a high-end inmate treatment unit center. It's called Therapeutic Housing. Therapeutic housing for the inmates in New York, which is weird because they don't keep too many inmates. They usually send them right back out to commit more crimes. But for those that get jammed up, what are we talking about here? What are we doing here? How much money are we spending here?
You know, let's understand my point of view and how biased I am. I lived in New York for 43 years. I moved down to South Florida only in mid-January, fled the place, left more for reasons of mom, my 88-year-old mother, than Mom Donnie. Okay, but that guy, Mom Donnie, is doing everything he can to ruin New York. In addition to this therapeutic center, they also have this, it's been in the works several years, a hospital just for inmates in which they want to eventually close down Rikers. And here's a hospital for inmates who needs extra care. Well, they're having an overall reduction of several hundred beds to get this new place, which is way over budget. And why are he's so worried about illegal immigrants and protecting them. He's so worried about criminals. You know, when the cops had to shoot a knife-wielding madman in his own home because he was threatening family, Mamdani met with the family of the shooting victim, knife wielder, instead of, meeting with the cops to find out how they were feeling. He reversed course on a more recent shooting. I'll tell you, the entire place is in danger of collapse. It's just that New York is so big and so diversified that you don't even realize it's happening as it's unfolding. But it is, and even the New York governor has admitted that thousands of rich taxpayers are leaving the state. Gee, will you please come back so you can pay the tab for everyone else? You know, I saw this this story. In fact, I just saw this. I want to pull this up, Anthony. The taxes for people, go to Byte 13, because I want you to hear this about taxes in high tax states, because they've got a brand new scheme. You're probably aware of it, but for those that are not, listen to this.
Might solve your blue state high tax problem. It actually might not be as easy as you thought. At least 10 states are now floating the idea of an exit tax, not just taxing you to death while you live there, but they're going to tax you with a knife in your back when you leave, too. That is right. California, New York, Washington, and Michigan all looking.
An exit tax.
When did we turn into East Germany under the Soviet rule? Or China stopping citizens from leaving? This is absolutely embarrassing that you actually go this far. You would have to go this far. And another state that is in this same boat is Oregon. My next book is going to be out very soon called Oregoners, How One Blue State's Ridiculously Liberal Policies Are Driving It Right Off a Cliff. And
well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to say something about Oregon. For anybody who has missed this headline, there is a ballot initiative. It looks like it's going to make the ballot for this fall in Oregon that would outlaw hunting, fishing, farming, chicken raising. Even a mouse trap would be illegal because it would be cruel to an animal. It's going to be on the ballot. Now, I don't know if this can pass in Oregon, but the fact that anything like this would even make the ballot that would outlaw farming, raising animals, having an exterminator at your house, that's how far gone these people are, Dennis.
Yes. I just the other night wrote a big new fresh insert on this thing, proposal initiative IP 28. Okay, and here's what these liberals do. It doesn't come out and say explicitly, because I read it in the act. It doesn't say, hey, we're outlawing farming. What you do is you pretend that you just want a new set of rules. And the rules, then the effective outcome is that it basically outlaws farming, ranching, etc. This is what they did with the timber industry in the 90s with the Endangered Species Act, where they wanted to stop logging everywhere. But what they said is, gee, we want to save the spotted owl. Well, there were 14,000 spotted owls in Oregon in about 1990. And today there are maybe 2,500. So it's been an entire disaster for the timber industry, tens of thousands of jobs lost, and it was never just to save the owl. And this is the same thing. And in this farming thing, understand, you know how you treat your pets, your dogs and your cats, and you got to make sure you're kind to them and give them shelter and food. It will require the cows, who usually stand out in the rain, would have to have their own housing. It would set limits on how much space per animal is required. It would basically classify artificial insemination, when you're breeding cows for a better breed and for more outcome, as sexual assault. That's how crazy this thing is. Now, it's already lost once, and it will lose again. The thinking is it's just that they will keep at it year after year. And then you look at the contributions. PETA, right? Of course.
Yeah, of course.
But there's a Russian guy named something like Blotnik Leonid or Leonid Black. He's getting more money.
Yeah, here's the bottom line, Dennis. I got to jump in because we're about to run out of time here. The bottom line is whether it's New York City giving therapeutic housing to inmates while veterans sleep on the street, or Oregon trying to ban raising cattle or chickens or having a dog, the left is nuts. Their policies are nuts, but my admonition to you is do not ignore it, because what we tolerate today, our kids will embrace tomorrow. You can find Dennis Neal's brand new book, The Oregoners. The Oregoners, coming out here shortly. Dennis, good conversation. You come back anytime.
Great to see you. I'd love to. Have a wonderful, glorious day, sir.
You too. There you have it. We'll take a break and be right back with sports and Brock.
When the world takes its shots, some break, others rise. From Rachel Holt comes Ammunition in collaboration with Bass Records. Stand against the noise, the hate, the voices trying to tear you down. Every word thrown your way. Fuel to fight back stronger. Scan the QR code and download now on iTunes. Turn pressure into power. Own it today. Only on Real America's Music.
So bring it, knock me, tear me, rock me, mow me down. Roll your words, take your aim and take me out. Keep on shooting and missing if it makes you feel strong, and I'll keep stocking up on ammunition. On ammunition.
When the world takes its shots, some break, others rise. From Rachel Holt comes Ammunition in collaboration with Bass Records. Stand against the noise, the hate, the voices trying to tear you down. Every word thrown your way. Fuel to fight back stronger. Scan the QR code and download now on iTunes. Turn pressure into power. Own it today. Only on Real America's Music.
So bring it, knock me, tear me, rock me, mow me down. Roll your words, take your aim and take me out. Keep on shooting and missing if it makes you feel strong, and I'll keep stocking up on ammunition. On ammunition.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to Rab. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that Rav News is the best news. Number one news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
I mean, all right, let's check in on sports with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. Rory McIlroy shot a final round 71, and that was good enough to beat world number one Scotty Scheffler by one shot and win the Masters for the second year in a row yesterday at Augusta National in Georgia. McIlroy finished 12 under par for the 4 days. He's the fourth man ever to win back-to-back Masters, joining Jack Nicklaus, Sir Nick Faldo, and Tiger Woods. A full schedule in Major League Baseball yesterday. American League winners included Baltimore, Detroit, and the Athletics. National League winners included Washington, the Chicago Cubs, and Arizona. It was the final day of the regular season in the NBA. All 30 teams in action. Winners included Detroit, Boston, Phoenix, and the LA Lakers. In the NHL, there were 6 games. Winners included Montreal, Boston, Calgary, and Vancouver. And Ty Gibbs won the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway for his first ever NASCAR Cup Series win. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you for that. Greatly appreciate you being here. Don't forget, coming up 9 a.m. this morning, a brand new episode of Forgotten America, the podcast on YouTube. Join the movement. Numbers on YouTube are growing big. Had a good weekend on social media in general. What do you think about this whole Eric Swalwell thing? Send me an email. I mean, it is one of the most spectacular falls from grace. And look, do I think he did it? Sure. The amount of people that are piling up now that are credible, they're all staff members, right? And here's the guy that was out there beating the drum, lying about Russia collusion when it was all proven to be nonsense. Here's the guy who was Donald Trump and Epstein. No, sir, it was you, Eric. You were the pig the entire time. And, and now 50 former staff members came out and said, yeah, it's the right thing. He needs to go. And he's not just going to go. He's going to get a date, all right, in prison. Yeah, bank on it. See if Kalshi's got a bet on that. Today's episode brought to you by PureClean's Veterans Initiative, PureVet program. Veterans, ready to be your own boss? Join a trusted brand. Serve your community in a new way. 855-PureVet and PureVet.com. If you're a veteran, you want to be a business owner, they'll put you right to the front of the line as a way to say thank you for serving this country. PureVet.com. If you're a vet or know somebody who is, check this out. You'll be glad you did. We'll take a break and be back. More to come.
When the world takes its shots, some break, others rise. From Rachel Holt comes Ammunition in collaboration with Bass Records. Stand against the noise, the hate, the voices trying to tear you down. Every word thrown your way. Fuel to fight back stronger. Scan the QR code and download now on iTunes. Turn pressure into power. Own it today. Only on Real America's Music.
So bring it, knock me, tear me, rock me, mow me down. Load your words, take your aim and take me out. Keep on shooting and missing if it makes you feel strong, and I'll keep stocking up on ammunition. On ammunition.
When the world takes its shots, some break, others rise. From Rachel Holt comes Ammunition in collaboration with Bass Records. Stand against the noise, the hate, the voices trying to tear you down. Every word thrown your way. Fuel to fight back stronger. Scan the QR code and download now on iTunes. Turn pressure into power. Own it today. Only on Real America's Music.
So bring it.